Hello everybody, welcome back to the world's AI-only free-for-all deathmatch. This is part 16. Welcome back. In the last episode, well, we have switched to a new recording program. I'm not going to really get into that, but the frame rate is better without a mouse cursor. So anyways, England has basically been reduced to a one-province city-state over here in Ribe. Of course, the Citadel expansion from the Persian, Russian theater is pushing into their territory and making it so that they have a little bit like a lopsided shoe for their territory. Of course, Soviet Union is under attack by the Shoshone and Kiowa. The Shoshone have actually annexed most of the central and southern, I guess, Scandinavian peninsula. Going to the east, what else has changed in the last episode? Korea is, I believe they just made peace with the Soviet Union, and actually, I didn't notice this in the last episode, but Shoshone have actually taken Tbilisi and Kubchev in the Eastern Soviet Siberian theater. I believe this is because they made peace with the Soviet Union in Scandinavia, and as a result, they have gained some of this eastern territory over here. So, a lot of border gore, actually. And what I mean by that is that there are a lot of countries and somewhat ahistorical spots. Of course, the Shoshone are now in Asia. Again, over here in Alaska, we do have a African presence, as well as Philadelphia, which is quite the same. Nothing really changes over there. In North America, nothing also has changed. We do, of course, have a massive Shoshone destroyer slash battleship, I guess, a naval armada in Rupert's Land, Canada. Really no way for them to get out of here, but it's quite humorous to see. Really, South America is expanding, and by that I mean Venezuela is colonizing new lands, west and south of the Andean mountain range. Going north, they have colonized Greenland as well, and sent to Teresa de Toy. Working our way to the southeast, Africa is split between three different sovereign powers. We have, well, I guess it's four if you include France and Algiers over here, and like modern-day Morocco, Marrakesh, and Tangiers. Right. And sorry, I do have a little bit of allergies today. I do apologize for the sniffles that will happen in this video preemptively. Right, so Venezuela does have a western foothold into Africa. And I do believe where we left off in the last episode, Persia was at war with Kiowa. So, without further ado, we will begin where we left off. But first, as always, let's go ahead and check the score screen. Well, not too much of a surprise that Persia is absolutely dominating, but let's go to the diplomatic overview. And I like, again, guys, the next one I do of these, it's going to be Fallout, or maybe it'll be Game of Thrones. I will download that mod that you guys are recommending that gives me more information on stuff like this. So, Kiowa is at war with the Soviet Union and Persia. France is at war with England. And that's about it. Of course, Korea's at war with Vietnam. What's left with Vietnam anyways? America's at war with the Soviet Union and Venezuela. And that is literally it. So, the most important theater will be the African theater this episode. Therefore, I will be kind of holding my, perspective over this theater. It is of my opinion that next turn, Novosibirsk is going to get absolutely steamrolled by Persia. Perhaps not, but we could check. Again, apologies. My allergies have been really terrible ever since moving down to France. I have no idea why. Probably because I'm from Texas, where there's like no trees, you know. Moving to a place of the world, or part of the world rather, that has quite a bit of them, and it becomes a problem. So, Novosibirsk is, let's see what's going to happen to them. Of course, we do have a Persian tank brigade that is backed by Persian Marines, Persian artillery, and Persian rocket artillery. Of course, the city itself is still holding out, but next turn we will see if they are able to withstand the full might of the Persian Empire. Let's go now over to, well, I was going to show you guys, let's go to the cultural overview just to see where everybody's happiness and ideologies are. England, of course, is the only country with a differing ideology. Everybody else has opted to take order. The only countries of note that have not taken any ideology, that are not one province minors, is America, actually. America actually still has a city. They have yet to adapt to a ideology. Perhaps they will take freedom. I don't know. But if you take anything other than order, you're going to get a massive, massive period of unrest, as Persia has 171 happiness, and they've chosen order. quite unsurprisingly, as many of my subscribers have noted that Persia actually has a unique building that gives them happiness in each of their cities. That would probably explain why they've been able to expand so aggressively throughout the world and still, be happier than a bunch of kids in Christmas Day. So let's take a look at Africa here. Still, the Persians have yet to take Novosibirsk, a very valiant defense on the part of the Khawanese Sultanate. Perhaps a unified Africa will be able to thwart Persian ambition, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. We just see a massive military buildup outside of Novosibirsk on both sides of the border. And in fact, really, Persia and Kilwa are basically at technological, what's the word? They're at a, oh God, it starts with a P, isn't it? Not parity, but they're equal, I should say. Besides the giant death robots on the Persian side, which we don't really see any more of, actually. They must be quite expensive to make in terms of production. Soviet Union has made peace with the United States. Let's see if anything has changed with territory. No, nothing has changed. In fact, the once glorious Soviet Empire has been reduced to Moscow, Gorky, Tunsberg, Roskilde, and Oslo. So that's pretty sad for all my, I guess, Russian or Soviet, supporters. Let's go to the east into Siberia, where, unsurprisingly, Persia is still expanding quite aggressively. They have taken all of the German territory. Germany was wiped out in the last episode, with the exception of this little German rifleman over here. He's not going to last very long, but, still remains to be seen whether or not Korea goes to war with Persia and perhaps gets completely annexed by the Persian Empire. Of course, Korea is at technological parity. That's the word. It's parity. They're at parity with the Persian Empire, but the problem is that they do not have as much of a military-industrial complex as the Persian Empire does. Right, so in the east, again, Australia completely in control by Persia. We do have these turtle ships still chilling off the coast of Oceania. I have no idea why they're still there, but they are. And New Zealand is now completely under the control of Persia. They both start with a P, rather. But take a look at this. We do have a Persian nuclear submarine with a nuclear missile heading east. I have no idea why. Let's again check the diplomatic overview. Let's see. Persia is at war with Kilwa. They've backstabbed Kilwa. Okay, so there's really no point. Maybe they're trying to get to the east of South America and send their men into Africa. I have no idea. Oh, and take a look at this. Soviet Ecuador has been annexed by Shoshone. Shoshone now have a hold on South America. We will probably see the resumption of a power struggle between North and South America. Of course, Venezuela was able to take a white peace with the Shoshone the last time that they've been at war, but it is my impression that the Shoshone have a much better hand in the American continent, North and South America included. Of course, the Shoshone do have a point, advantage over Venezuela, but Venezuela does control South America, but they are a bit behind with just Venezuelan infantry as opposed to Marines and paratroopers on the Shoshone side. So without further ado, let's go ahead and continue the battle for the African continent, where it seems to me that in this episode, we should probably see Persia take at least 4 or 5 cities. I know a few of you guys have recommended that I basically just stop the series once it's obvious that Persia is going to win. Really, nobody wants to see Persia annex the world in a period of like 15, 30-minute videos. So I'm of that mindset as well. I know a few of you guys are probably going to be the purists and say, well, hey, you should just finish, it until there's only one person left. But I mean, honestly, there's probably nobody that's watching these videos that thinks that anybody besides Persia is going to win at this point. So it is my impression that once it becomes abundantly clear that Persia is going to steamroll the world and install, hookah and shisha lounges and pave the world with Persian rugs, it is of my impression that once that becomes the obvious turn of events, I will end the series and start on my next world AI only, spectator game. Of course, I have chosen Fallout to be the next one. Perhaps I will do Game of Thrones as well, but that will be afterwards, as I already have plenty of series on the horizon for y'all. Another thing is that I would like you guys in the comments below, if you guys have watched this far in my video, to recommend what I should do for my next Civilization playthrough. I don't mean my spectator matches. These will be independent. I will have a AI-only kind of like series running alongside a actually like a playthrough series. I mean, I'm sure all of you guys know that I have a Civilization Challenge series that I've done with the Germany No City Challenge and the Ottoman Piracy Challenge. Of course, by the time this video hits YouTube, the Ottoman Piracy Challenge will be almost completed. I think there's one more episode left for me to upload. But after that, I would like to do another series with Civilization where I'm actually playing. So if any of you guys have any recommendations on what I should do, maybe I should do another challenge video. I was kind of liking the idea of perhaps doing a TSL, True Start Location mod, with a lot of different AI and playing on a very high difficulty. Perhaps that could be fun. Maybe if you guys would rather me play with the Red World War II mod, maybe I could do that. That'll be fun. Of course, Persia taking Cologne and Novosibirsk, German and Russian former colonies, respectively. So again, guys, tell me what you guys want me to do on the comments below. I will honor that. Again, the Ottoman Piracy Challenge is completed. I have won. I have destroyed the world using only ships gained through the prize ship promotion on difficulty 7. That was pretty cool. I had a lot of fun doing that. Or rather, I think it was difficulty 6. Don't really exactly remember. But that was a lot of fun. I would just like to do another one now. Instead of just making my channel devoted solely to AI-only spectator battles, I also want to do, things myself, I guess you could say. So, in other news, in this actual video, for example, Venezuela has obtained the atomic bomb. They have just completed well, whatever that program is called. I completely forgot. The Manhattan Project. There we go. Brain fart right here. I just woke up. It's really early here in France. Again, Persia has taken more cities. They are pushing into Africa. It remains to be seen whether or not the border that you currently see will remain the border between the two superpowers. Well, I say the one superpower and the other kind of like lesser regional power, because of course at this point the Persian Empire is just this massive sprawling series of, it's just massive. It's a massive union of red states. In fact, if the colors were more accurate and this was the Soviet Union, this would just be like Lenin's wet dream to see this red empire sprawled across the map like this. Or conversely, if you are, I guess, a fan of German history, of course, the Third Reich had a red color scheme just like this. And maybe you can imagine that in an alternate reality, the borders of Persia might be those of either the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany. I don't know. Of course, I hope you don't think it's that of Nazi Germany. I'm not sure how many of you guys are actually, neo-Nazis or skinheads. I don't really think I have that many in my YouTube channel. But again, these borders are a bit scary. It's a bit dystopian. In fact, it reminds me of 1984. Not to drop too many literary references here, but this empire is just sprawling. And if we had a unified American power that also controlled Great Britain, we could, perhaps make this this series would actually be 1984. I mean, you had 3 factions in 1984, one that controlled all of America, with Great Britain as Airstrip 1, and you had one that controlled all of Asia as East Asia, and then you had this massive sprawling kind of like presumably Soviet Eurasian empire. But enough of the blabbling. Let's see. England is at war with the Soviet Union, and England is also at war with the Killwanese Sultanate. So we will see how this develops. Of course, it is of my personal belief that the Soviet Union will crush England. Well, maybe not actually at this point. Let's see. Stalin has declared war on Elizabeth, but Elizabeth looks like she could take out Tønsberg, Roskilde, and Oslo, as there's not really that much of a military buildup here. And I sincerely doubt if Stalin will be able to get military access through the former Soviet Union, now controlled by the Persian Empire. Of course, they have a very rocky relationship, as befits a relationship between two people that have subjugated each other throughout history. France building up quite a bit of a military here outside of Lyon and Paris and Marseille. We don't really have that much of a chance here in France, it seems, because once the Persian Empire declares war on them, all of these, French wineries and baguettes are going to be consumed by the invading Persian armies. No more France, perhaps, in the future, but not in this episode. So let's go back down to Africa, as the Scandinavian theater we will fly by rather periodically to check to see the status of England and how it fares. with its one city province. It's basically just a city-state at this point. Mogadishu is under attack. I have no idea why. Is it under attack by Kilwa or Korea? We're about to find out. Once this turn ends, I have just clicked on it, but nothing has happened. We're waiting for Persia to end its turn. And I'm like frozen now. Again, I'm getting a little bit less performance on this laptop, but the good news is that it records at such a high rate. It's smooth like butter, in fact, you could say. And I'm still trying to figure out how to fix this mouse cursor issue. I know it's a big issue for some of you. You find it to be annoying. I certainly do too. You would think that a recording program like NVIDIA Shadowplay would actually have a feature of turning on and off your mouse cursor. I've looked everywhere on the internet, and everybody says, how do I get rid of the mouse cursor? Well, I have quite the opposite problem. In fact, I can't see the mouse cursor. So if any of you guys are, experienced perhaps with NVIDIA GTX graphics cards, maybe it's my driver, maybe it's the program itself. I have reinstalled the driver that did not fix it. Perhaps reinstalling the recording program would. If you guys have any, suggestions for me, I am open to any suggestions that might fix this problem. So please feel free to holler at your boy Alzabo. Just let me know what you guys think. We are seeing a massive Persian invasion into Central/Western Africa and Zanzibar. Pretty soon, it seems to me that the Persian Empire will split Africa in half, preventing Kilwa from accessing reinforcements between their capital of Kiswani and perhaps the western coast of former French and Carthaginian colonies. Of course, Carthage is just a memory at this point. I don't even think they have any units whatsoever, unlike many of their other compatriots that still survive in the form of immigrant workers, like Vietnam, for instance. So the Soviet Union is at war with Korea once again. This does not bode well for the Soviet city of Gorky, which is more than likely going to be the target of the Korean war goal here. So really nothing really new to report up there in Eurasia. Let's go down again to Africa, where if I was Venezuela, I would hop on the fuck Kilwa bandwagon and take over the former French colony of Bordeaux and take over Utique as well, from the former Carthaginian, Central West African colonial region. But Zanzibar is still holding out. It remains to be seen whether or not they survive this turn. They did, which is quite surprising, of course. Burning down or capturing cities with more than 100 defense is certainly no simple task, but the Persian Empire is equipped to deal with, such hard cookies to crack, as they've been doing throughout this playthrough. And besides that, again, the Soviet Union is at war with Korea, but Korea is basically a Soviet Union is a non-actor anymore. They don't really have their own agency. Their entire region is controlled by Persia and Persian allies like Korea. And it remains to be seen whether or not Korea stays a strong ally of the Persian Empire, as news of the, atrocities that Persia commits have spread across the world. Persia is now at war with Venezuela, which means that either Persia is going to take out Venezuelan Africa, which is what I believe is going to happen, or they are going to mount an attack on South America itself, thus gaining a foothold into the Americas. Zanzibar has been captured by the Persian Empire, and the Kilwanese Empire is now split in two, basically, with a very small kind of like supply bridge running between the east and west coasts. Over here, as you can see with this Swahili worker. I guess you can't see where my cursor is, but you can kind of see in modern day, this would be like the Democratic Republic of the Congo, D-Rock, more affectionately known. One of the worst countries actually in the world right now, with corruption and poverty and all that. I've got a friend of mine who's actually going to go work there. I have no idea why he wants to do that, but, different strokes for different folks and all that. So Darius has declared war on Venezuela, and the Shoshone have declared war on Venezuela as well. Massive military operations are about to commence here in the American theater. We do see a more technologically advanced Shoshone faction against a more, I guess, numerous, less technologically advanced Venezuelan faction. Of course, Venezuela has more military units, but they are of inferior quality. We still see some privateers, we still see some lancers and cavalry, but it remains to be seen whether or not the Shoshone are able to make inroads into South America. Of course, the Shoshone-held city of Baku is in a very good defensive position here in South America. It remains to be seen whether or not it's nuked to the ground, but if it is not, it will be a very good position for the Shoshone to launch air raids into the heart of South America. So, with that being said, let's go back down to Africa, where Persia is at war with the two African powers, besides themselves, of course, Venezuela and Kilwa. Give me 1 second. Again, I apologize for all the sniffles. My allergies are so insufferably bad. I can't even breathe out of my nose. In fact, you might notice that my voice is a tad more nasally today, and that's not just you that's hearing that, it is the truth. So I apologize for that lack of audio quality and perhaps the annoyance of having to hear me sniffle. Mogadishu was taken over by Persia. A former city-state that was loyal to Kilwa has been captured. And Persia is definitely making some progress into annexing the entirety of the African continent. 1 second. Excuse me. It's a bit hard to record when you're sneezing and sniffling like I am, but, I really wanted to release this video today, as it has been 3 or 4 days since my last AI series that I've uploaded on YouTube. Let me know, you guys know, again, if you guys want me to see, or if you guys want to see a new modded playthrough of Civilization, or perhaps another Civilization challenge. I'm open to suggestions. Again, comments on the comments below, what you guys want to see. And let's see where Persia strikes next. It is, in my opinion, that they're going to take the kind of like northeastern Kilwani city of Malindi, but I was wrong. They're actually making a move on the Vans of Congo, which is actually an ethnically African city, as these other cities over here were ethnically Phoenician and French, respectively. Really, Kilwa was not really too much of a colonization power. They instead took most of their cities through force. So perhaps these cities like Cologne and Novosibirsk and Krasnoyarsk have viewed the Persian invaders as liberators, liberating themselves from thousands of years of, I guess, Kilwani's occupation. Going over here to the American theater, where we have a bit of a standstill. Of course, Greenland will probably come under the occupation of the Shoshone Navy. But here in America, we're going to end our turn over here just to see how the battle goes here. For the most part, as I've said earlier, Baku is protected by the Andean mountain range. In fact, the only way to get over here to attack the city would be to embark your units onto the, Pacific Ocean off of the coast of South America, and basically move your unit onto these land tiles over here, and that would basically mean that you'd be vulnerable to a fair amount of destruction. In world news, Denmark is actually industrialized for the first time in the game. Of course, I will zoom up on them after this turn has ended to show you guys the pitiful state of affairs in which they find themselves. For those of you who are long-time viewers of the series, you will know that they only have one city, and it's pretty much nothing, really. And really, Venezuela is making a movement into taking Cuba from the Shoshone. We'll see if they're able to do so. Of course, their navy is less technologically advanced. We still see privateers. It's a bit funny to see that. Of course, Denmark is now industrialized. Fantastic news for them. They even have some Norwegian ski infantry, although they're a bit stuck on this, northern island in the Arctic Sea. Let's go now to Africa, where the battle between Persia and Kilwa is in full swing. Let's end our turn here and see how the carnage unfolds. Excuse me as I blow my nose yet again. So France has developed nuclear weapons, just 1,000 years, or rather 120 years after they were historically made, or I guess 115 after they were historically made. So they're a bit slow on the uptake. Mabanzo Congo has been captured and liberated by Persia, actually, as this was once a city-state. It has been liberated, which is good news for them. And that's actually really weird. This is the first time we've actually seen a city-state be liberated by a military actor in this playthrough. I welcome the change. It's a bit of I guess, a sense of variety has increased here. Of course, they're going to be allied with Persia as they've been liberated by them. And I honestly wonder why Persia has chosen to liberate them besides taking them. Of course, in the past, Persia has just opted to destroy city-states. So this is the first time they've actually liberated anybody in the game. Let's go over to America after Persia ends their turn. We'll see what they do here. Perhaps they will make a move on Hipporegius and Malindi, thus wiping out all of the, war capabilities of Kilwa to fight back. Over here in America, it is the Shoshone's turn. We are seeing a lot of violence here on the demarcation lines separating the two powers from one another. We are, of course, seeing the Venezuelan city of Pitar in modern-day Colombia being basically reduced to rubble as Shoshone bombers seek to wipe the city from the map. We don't see any nuclear bombs going off just yet in the American theater, which I guess is a good thing for these two powers. Babaku is still firmly in the hands of the Shoshone, and I don't really see that changing. Let's go to Greenland, where Greenland is actually under attack by the Shoshone Navy, but is being valiantly defended by Venezuela. Of course, Venezuela is now under attack by two different factions from two different fronts. We will see if they survive the onslaught. The combined onslaught of Persia and the Shoshone. Really, though, I wouldn't trust Persia. I know people are friends with Persia. It's not a good idea. I mean, they basically backstabbed one of their former allies. The ally was Kilwa. So, really, they have a massive warmongering penalty. I don't think anybody could actually be friends with them. I don't even think Korea is friends with them anymore. They have just now taken Malindi for themselves. Let's go over to America, where the battle between the Shoshone and Venezuela is still in full swing. Excuse me. And Korea is still at war with the Soviet Union. After Venezuela's turn, we will go now to the east of Siberia and see if there are any Korean inroads into former Soviet territory. So, Gorky is still in the hands of Stalin, as is Moscow. But check it out. France has actually made a military, expeditionary force trying to take out the final English capital of Ribe in modern-day St. Petersburg. We will see periodically whether or not the French succeed in capturing the city for themselves. I think it's a bad idea, personally, for the French to overextend themselves so far, as they only welcome the Persian Empire into destroying all of their land, as it is relatively undefended over here outside of Marseille and Lyon. Let's go to the south now, where Africa is about to fall utterly and entirely to the Persian invader. And this includes the capital of the Kilwanese Sultanate, Kilwa Kizwani, and Hipporegius, which was a former Phoenician colony, as I've mentioned prior. Of course, historically, Carthage was never able to make a colony this far south into Africa, but they had dotted the North African coastline throughout the, classical period, or period of antiquity, where this is, of course, before the Romans absolutely destroyed them in the 3 Punic Wars. Of course, the 3rd Punic War, they captured the city of Carthage and burned it to the ground, and Carthage never able to regain its historical prominence as a center of trade after the Romans were, after the Romans destroyed it and put it to the torch. Basically, this is the end of this episode, but because I like you guys so much, we're going to go one more turn to see if Persia is able to take Kilwa Kizwani for itself. Of course, Hipporegius was taken, and Persia has effectively split the Kilwanese Empire in two, while warring on two different fronts between Venezuela and the Sultanate. Let's go ahead and end our turn again to see what's going to happen here between the two factions. Really, it's anybody's game here. I don't think that Persia will take it this turn, so that we'll have to wait until the next episode, which might be the final episode, as the next episode will decide the entire fate of the African continent, and in fact, most of the continents. Right, so Kilwa has been captured. Let's go now to America, where the Shoshone have actually taken one of the Venezuelan cities and the Leeward Islands. Is that how you say these series of islands? I guess this is the Dominican Republic. Again, do we say Antilles in English? I think we do. I'm American. I don't even know how to say this region in English. Of course, in French, it's les Antilles, but I don't know how to say that in English. I think it's Antilles. Let's just go with that. In the north, outside of Greenland, we are still seeing some Shoshone aggression. Of course, Greenland is still in the hands of Venezuela. Those strategic, I guess you could say, oil reserves are going to be fought over by the two American superpowers, but it remains to be seen whether or not Venezuela is able to take over Shoshone Ecuador, and if Shoshone is able to hold on to their newly acquired, I guess, Dominican territory. So, at the end of all of my episodes, as usual, we will go over the demographic screen. Really, no surprise here. Everything is in the hands of the Persians, with the exception of approval, which is me, obviously, as I don't even have a city. So everybody on board of the the Latin nuclear submarine, we're all having a great time drinking wine with the I guess Greek god Dionysus. I forgot what the name is in Roman or Latin, I should say. I know that the Romans basically copied all the Greek gods anyways, so I'm sure that there is a Roman name. If you know it, feel free to drop a comment below. Ribe, of course, as I mentioned previously, is under attack by France. That should fall in the next few turns. Let's go now to the, I guess, cultural overview, where we will see how happy Persia is. They have taken a hit to their happiness from 171 to 151, although they are still nowhere near, into the negatives. Shoshone are actually unhappy, which I guess is not too much of a surprise. And England is still, again, facing a revolutionary wave. Right, so let's take the influence by player. Really no surprise that Persia's in the lead. And second would be Kilwa, actually, surprisingly, with culture. We will see if, once the Kilwanese are completely annexed by Persia, how much, I guess, tourism we will see from the part of Persia. But take a look over here. Bordeaux and Utique are both going to be captured by Persia next turn, thus reducing I guess the Kilwanese Sultanate, who was once a massive African regional power, to a very small two-province minor, with only control over modern-day Madagascar. And I guess this would be, this isn't Angola. This is, hold on, guys. I knew the name of this country, but now I don't. It's on Zanzibar, is it? It's northeast of South Africa. What is this country named? I don't know. Sorry, guys, if you're from that region. But, again, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Stay tuned for the next one. And the next one should be interesting. It'll decide the fate of the entire series and, in fact, world stability itself. So, again, stay tuned, and thank you so much for watching, guys. See you on the next episode.